Know that you need to grow your team, but you're not quite sure who you need to hire? Well, today's episode might just help you narrow down the best choice for where your business is at right now. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering, what next? Or how do I even make this better? Then I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm your host, Selena Knight, the retail strategist. And today I want to introduce you to a new position that you might not yet be familiar with. And perhaps it's maybe just what you're looking for to grow your retail or e-commerce business. It's no secret that if you have a bricks and mortar retail store, you have to have an e-commerce side of the business as well. I mean, if 2020 showed us nothing, it was that you must be online to survive. Now, the great thing is, I know that most of you listening here today have an e-commerce store. And even though it's probably bringing in some revenue for you, my question to you today is, how can we leverage that online store to make you more money without you doing more work? Now, in the beginning, I know when you first started out, you had to do all of those things. Now, maybe the beginning for you was a couple of years ago, maybe it was 20 years ago. But when you first started out, if you're like most retailers I meet, you probably had a very limited budget and you had to get everything done. And let's be honest, secretly, you totally love working. Am I right? But here's the thing. You've managed to get to where you are right now with sheer hard work, grit, and determination. But what got you to here, where you are right now, and it doesn't matter if that is 6 months in, 18 months in, 5 years in, 20 years in, what got you to where you are right now is not going to get you to the next level. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I say what got you here won't get you there. Now, you have to be super proud of what you've achieved right now. Sometimes as business owners, we forget to pat ourselves on the back and we get very caught up in where we're going and we forget to congratulate ourselves on all of the things that we've achieved. And yet there comes a time in your business where that, what I like to call startup scrappiness, aka the hard work and hustle, but let's call it the startup scrappiness. There comes a time in your business where that cannot be the only driving force behind your business growth. Once you've gotten over those first few years worth of obstacles, and realistically, it's that kind of first 18 months to maybe 3 years where you're working out what you need to sell, who your ideal customer is, what that ideal product mix looks like, mastering the shipping and the technology. Once you've gotten over all of that, your business gets to the point where you need to step up into that leadership role. Because if you don't, your business ends up plateauing, which in turn ends up getting you to add more and more time and effort and money into the business, but not necessarily seeing the results that you're looking for. So you end up scratching your head and wondering, what is the missing piece? Now, the smart, savvy business owner knows that when you get to this point, you probably need to be hiring someone. You're already very, very busy. You have probably a small team of people, and you know that in order to grow, you've got to hand over some of your responsibilities to someone else. The problem is that someone, even if they are amazing at what they do, may not be the person that your business actually needs. And I talked about my own experience with this last year when I brought on an agency to help me with my social media. So the same thing ends up happening as what happened to me. Even though you've hired somebody to help you grow your business, what can potentially end up happening is that you hire a new person, but they're coming back to you for a lot of stuff. And this ends up leading to you, the business owner, taking on more and more work when the whole reason that you brought on the extra team member or members was to take the load off of you. And of course, this ends up leading you to resenting your decision to hire more people, but also ending up with that frustration that with more people, more team comes more problems. But look, when you hire right and you hire well, when you hire the person your business actually needs, that doesn't necessarily happen. And in today's episode, I want to give you some first-hand experience from somebody who not only has hired dozens and dozens of people for my own business and for my clients' businesses, but also from the experiences that my one-on-one consulting clients have recently gone through. So a theme that often recurs with my one-on-one consulting clients is that when you grow and you know that you need more people on your team, you know that you need someone who is going to help you drive the business forward, and you want to hire them for their knowledge and their experience to do so. In fact, the whole reason of hiring an experienced person is so that you don't constantly have to supervise them and so that they can be giving you input rather than you having to manage them. And I'll be honest, the first person that most of my clients think that they need to hire is a marketing manager. And I can totally understand why they think that. With social media and email marketing, those are the two big channels that you're going to be focusing on, taking up so much time and energy in your business. For a lot of business owners, getting the chance to offload that to somebody else feels like a huge relief off of their shoulders. But here's the thing, when I dig in and do an intensive audit of their business, what I often find is whilst they might already have a dedicated store manager, if they've got a bricks and mortar store, or they potentially even have a social media manager, sometimes they may even have a marketing manager, but very rarely do I find a retail or e-commerce business that has one person whose specific job is the e-commerce manager position. What I tend to find is the norm is that the owner of the business is maintaining that ownership of the e-commerce site. Now, potentially the in-store team maybe uploads the products to the website, or the graphics person makes some banners here and there to go on the website. But in my experience, and as I said, this is in my experience, most of my clients, when they come to me, they are still managing their website. And maybe this is you too. And on the surface, it might look okay. Sales come in, the website every now and then gets changed. It kind of ticks along in the background. But I can tell you, just like if you don't have a store manager in charge of your bricks and mortar store, if you do not have an e-commerce manager in charge of that part of your business, then I can guarantee that you are leaving a lot of money on the table. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you about what an e-com manager is, the kind of tasks that you'll allocate them when you bring them on board, and what you need to have in place before you hire an e-commerce manager. And when you as the business owner are stepping into that CEO role, it is your job to recognize the things that you specifically need to be doing and which pillar of the business you and your team need to work on to move your business forward. And as I go through some of the situations that your e-commerce manager might handle, if any of them sound familiar to you, then perhaps this might be the next person that you need to hire. Now, your e-commerce manager's tasks are going to fall into 3 very broad categories: marketing, analysis, and growth. And if those 3 sounded a little bit counterintuitive, then you're exactly right. This is a very different role because not only does it combine that overall marketing role that quite often is the catalyst for hiring a new team member, that marketing role taking over those marketing duties, but an e-commerce manager also has to love the data side of the role. And I will go through the kind of tasks that you'll assign to them in just a moment, but there is a lot of data analysis and there is a lot of deep diving and testing and measuring to see what works. So I do feel it is a very unique role. And if right now your idea of an e-commerce manager, because hey, it could just be you, is getting by uploading products, changing the homepage every so often, I can guarantee that you are not leveraging this amazingly huge asset that you have at your disposal. Have you heard of Pearson's Law? If you listen to the podcast, I'm sure I've mentioned this before. It kind of goes something like this: that which is measured improves, and that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. And I have to admit, I'm kind of a data geek when it comes to this stuff. I don't like mining the data, but I do like analyzing the data. So why is Pearson's Law so important? Because if you have somebody who is not only mining the data, but is analyzing it and reporting it back to you, it's almost impossible not to see growth. And one of those key roles of an e-commerce manager is testing and measuring and reporting. And this is things like trying different offers in your pop-ups, trying different offers in your upsells, A/B testing images and calls to action on your site to see what works. I mean, if you can increase your conversion rate by just 0.5%, that can result in tens of thousands of dollars. Now, I know from the feedback I've gotten that you guys listening here tend to fall into one of 2 camps. The data nerds who are totally happy to geek out with me and analyze those numbers. You data geeks are going to spend all day watching your analytics. But then there's the other side of the coin, the kind of person who knows that they should be measuring all of this stuff. They should be analyzing it. Hey, maybe they've even got somebody doing some reporting. But, oh look, there's something over there that's way more exciting. They're doing nothing with the data. And I'm kind of in between. I like having somebody else going out and getting the numbers for me, and then just totally being able to geek out on the results. And regardless of which camp you fall into, the fact is someone in your business has to be testing, measuring, and reporting, and doing it not just higgledy-piggledy, not just now and then, but doing it with KPIs and benchmarks and actually affecting change in your business. So let me ask you a question here. Are you really looking at how your inventory is moving? Are you assessing your online inventory turnover every week and creating a plan to get rid of the stuff that isn't selling and making sure that you have more stock coming in of the stuff that is selling? Are you looking at your return rates and the type of products that are coming back and how you can reduce those numbers? If you answered no to any or all of those scenarios, you are losing money. You are leaving money on the table that could be in your pocket. So when it comes to those reporting statistics, the things that your e-commerce manager might do is looking at your sales data and your stock levels and making recommendations on the types of products you might stock. We call that your product mix, and your inventory levels. So letting you know when it's time to reorder, letting you know when it is time to move stock on because it's aged inventory. They're also going to analyze internal data. So what is going on inside of the rest of the business and how is that translating to online? Is there something that's selling really well in store that we need to promote in the e-commerce site? And of course, the whole point of your e-commerce manager is to make recommendations to, I'm guessing that's probably going to be you, but making recommendations to, if it isn't you, your marketing team and your store managers, so that stock is moving quickly and you're making the most money that you possibly can. Now, another area where an e-com manager really starts to grow your revenue is by collaborating with your marketing team. And hey, maybe that's you right now, but collaborating with the person who's in charge of the marketing to ensure that you have a cohesive marketing plan and cohesive messaging across all of your channels. And what I mean by that is, if you are posting about a product on social media, you have to make sure that it is appearing prominently on your e-commerce site and that that same campaign is running through all of your email marketing and even your in-store displays if you have a bricks and mortar store. Reinforcing your messaging across multiple channels doesn't just make life easier because it means you can streamline your marketing and you can batch out things like your graphic assets, but it also provides those multiple touch points that your customer needs to go through before they purchase. So when it comes to the marketing side of the role, the kinds of tasks that your e-commerce manager is going to take control of are things like, well, making sure that your products are uploaded as they are received, if not before they are received. So no more stock sitting in the storeroom or the warehouse for weeks on end because nobody has had a chance to upload them to the website. That is going to be one of the jobs that your e-com manager takes on. They're also going to collaborate with your marketing team or potentially someone that you outsource your marketing to. Maybe you do your Facebook ads or your social media ads with an agency. They're going to collaborate with those people to improve the quality of the people coming to your website. That's the traffic to your website. They're going to help plan promotional campaigns such as contests or giveaways and plan advertising campaigns and even decide on which media and social channels you should be focusing your marketing budget on. Because remember, they've got the reports there. They can see where the traffic is coming from when they hit your website and which one of those channels is actually converting at the highest rate for you. And of course, they're going to make sure that you have what we call collaterals or assets, basically the products, the images, the banners, the graphics, all those sorts of things that you need to make sure that your website is functioning at the best level possible. And the next part of the role that your e-com manager is in charge of is what I call growth and optimization. And this is going to be things like your SEO, your search engine marketing strategies, looking after things like your returns. Who's doing that right now? Who is managing your returns? And your e-commerce support tickets. Just a few weeks ago, we had Jackie Yap on from Gorgeous talking about how you can take those support tickets and turn them into a revenue base. If you're not doing that now, you're leaving money on the table. But who is managing that for you? Your e-com manager is also going to be required to keep up to date with what is happening in the industry, what kind of technologies are out there, what apps can you install in your store to make more money, to improve website performance, to improve your customer experience, and of course, to improve sales. But it's so much more than that. It's looking at the pricing strategies for your e-commerce store. Should you be putting things on a discount? Should you be bundling? What do those upsells look like? Should you be providing a subscription service? Your e-commerce site is a revenue generating machine. And if all you're doing is putting products up onto the website and changing out a banner every now and then, you aren't utilizing it to the best of your abilities. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, if you hire somebody to take over that e-commerce role, what are they going to bring in return? And this is where, when you step up into that CEO role, you get to make these decisions. You get to put metrics in place. You get to say what results you actually want this person to achieve. And the thing is, your new e-commerce manager is going to need that. They need advice. They need to know what your expectations are so that they can work towards the goal as part of your team. Now, I know that you don't have a limitless bucket of money. When you bring somebody on, they need to pay for themselves. They need to make you more money than they cost you. But you also know that you can't grow your business when you're doing all of the things. And when you make this really big decision to hire someone, that person needs to have the skills and experience that are the missing piece in your growth strategy right now. But at the same time, you can't just abdicate all of your responsibilities. You have to be the CEO. You need to lead your team, you need to set expectations, and you need to set goals and targets. Because if your team don't know what they're working towards, how are they ever going to know when they get there? How are they going to know what successful looks like to you? And if they constantly feel like they're falling short, then it doesn't take long before they get dejected. Whereas when they have a goal, they know what they're working towards. They can feel that proud sense of achievement when they've gotten there, and they can look at what worked and what didn't. They can leverage what's worked and they can tweak what didn't work. When you avoid setting goals and targets because you feel like it might scare your team off, what you're actually doing is the opposite. You're leaving them in no man's land with no way to feel that sense of achievement. So what's it going to be? Are you going to step up, be the CEO, identify what you need help with in your business, and hire the person or the people who are going to help you get there? Or are you just going to stay where you are right now and hope that things are going to get better? I'm pretty sure if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably going to be the former. And I hope that today's episode has made you realize just how beneficial an e-com manager can be, even if most of your revenue is driven from your bricks and mortar store, even if you're not at that point right now where you need to hire someone. Now you know what that person does. And if you can identify yourself in any of the scenarios that I've talked about, that messaging that perhaps isn't as cohesive as it could be across all of your channels, not looking at or reporting your metrics of your e-commerce growth, feeling like you have no plan for growth, maybe that e-commerce manager is who you need to help you grow your business. And just a heads up that if you are looking to step into that CEO role in your business, I will be launching my Retail Breakthrough Series very, very soon. If you aren't already on my email list, head to selinaknight.com, enter your details, and when the Retail Breakthrough Series goes live for 2021, you will be the first person to hear about it. Okay, that is it for me today. I'll see you right back here, same time, same place next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.